Last month's deadly winter storm in Texas has fractured the state's deregulated energy market. Power outages left millions of people in the dark and without heat in freezing temperatures for days. Wholesale prices for electricity spiked, causing astronomically high bills for customers. Texas officials are investigating to make sure a power failure of this magnitude does not happen again. For more on this, I want to bring in Will Englund. He's a financial energy reporter at the Washington Post. Will, welcome. Great to have you with us. What have we learned from Texas's fragile power grid 1 month after the winter storm? And how stable is the state's energy market now?
Well, it's just a great big mess, really. It's stable at the moment because there are no extraordinary weather conditions. But for almost going on 20 years now, Texas has had this kind of a free market electricity system, and it really failed the state in this February freeze-up and storm. And now there's a giant mess. Millions of dollars were suddenly charged to various companies because of the price of electricity and the price of natural gas. They both spiked. At this very moment, the Texas Senate is meeting in a kind of a hurry-up session to consider a bill that would direct Public Utilities Commission to roll back some of the prices that were set in February. No one's quite sure how that would play out.
And some energy companies seem to be reaping huge profits while others are filing for bankruptcy protection, including the state's largest power cooperative, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. So which companies made gains, which companies closed shop, and how has deregulation played a role?
Well, we don't have a full list of winners and losers yet, and that will eventually come out. It looks like some of the companies that did the best in this event were those that entered into agreements with electricity generators or with gas companies to provide a set, stable price for their energy. So in other words, like I'm I have a power plant. I reach an agreement with another company. They'll buy all my electricity for $30 a kilowatt hour or megawatt hour. That's a sort of hedging the risk is what happens. But the problem is when all the power started going out, the companies that produce the electricity, if their plants were out, they had to go out in the spot market and buy electricity in order to give it to this other party. And suddenly the price of electricity was not $30, but it was $9,000. So the generation companies that lost power got hit really big. These are financial players, have done really well. And ironically, other companies that have done well are the local utilities. If they had power, but if ERCOT, the Reliability Council, ordered them to shed load, as they say, to cut off customers to alleviate the demand, they then had electricity to sell, and they could sell it on the spot market for a lot of money. So some local utilities also did very well. We have at least two bankruptcies have been filed. Companies are, not surprisingly, fighting these bills in court. There are cases seemingly filed every day. And you also have cases being filed by the survivors of ordinary individual Texans who died of hypothermia or because their oxygen tank stopped working or some other cause related to the storm.
And my understanding is the Texas grid got crushed because its operators didn't see the need to prepare for this kind of cold weather. Is that at least being addressed? What is the state doing to make sure that another power failure of this magnitude doesn't happen again? Because if there's one thing that we're learning that extreme weather isn't going away.
Well, of course, everyone in Texas at the State House in Austin is talking about the need to require winterization. They did that a decade ago when a very similar incident happened, and they did it in 1989 when a similar incident happened. I guess we'll see whether they mean it this time. Texas doesn't typically get bitter winter weather, but it's not, it's not unprecedented. And as you point out, it may be becoming more common in the future. The problem with the free market, the way it's set up in Texas, is that there is no factor built into the bills, the electric bills, to pay for kind of excess supply, pay for companies to winterize, pay for companies to have storage of fuel, on site. Most other states have that. Texas and California do not.
All right, well, we'll have to see. Hopefully, Texas will be better prepared next time around. Will, Englund, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.